Hello, thank you all for being here today. Collaborating and communicating are more important, but also more complex than ever. Most of you here today are using SharePoint sites already, but are you taking full advantage of the greatest features SharePoint has to offer to solve this problem around communication? In these next 20 minutes, I'm going to spend the entire time in SharePoint demoing some of the best practices that you can take as a site owner to make communication more efficient and easier within your team. My name is Michaela Barrett. I'm a program manager on the Microsoft SharePoint experiences. Within this team, I'm on the SharePoint team sites, and over the last year, my area of focus has been in document lists and libraries, specifically focusing on managed metadata and improving the new SharePoint experience. You see that I land on the SharePoint home. You can create a site directly from here. You see that you're faced with two options immediately. The first one is a team site. This is great for team collaboration, for planning and executing on projects. When you create a team site, you get a group. This means that you get a shared inbox, a shared calendar, a planner, stream channel, and a Power BI for your team. The second option you see is a communication site. This is used for showcasing an initiative or an event that you want to share with your entire organization. You use this to publish and really show off the content that you've created. For this demo, I'm going to create a team site, and I'm logged in right now as a member of the Contoso Financial Marketing team. So I can create a site for my team. But don't worry, I have permission from my IT to do this. For those of you that are IT admins in the room right now, you control the governance of the site. For example, you see these options that I have to select called privacy setting and how sensitive is your data. These are created by the Contoso IT department for anyone that's creating a site where they have to select them. So IT no longer has to spend the valuable time that they have creating sites for everyone. We want every user in the organization to be able to create a site that IT feels good about. So you can see that I can choose a public or a private site. Public sites are great to create. It means they're public to your organization and anyone can see them. You can share content really easily without jumping through any hurdles. But maybe for something like finance, you want to keep it more private so that it's only something that your team can see. The next option is how sensitive is your data. We have one option which is classified, which is certain eyes only. Another option of internal only, which is within Contoso. And the last option is general purpose. This is if you want to share content externally with third-party partners. For this one, I'm going to make it internal. I can add additional owners to this site, so I will go ahead and add my coworker, Jeremy, and I will finish. You see that I immediately get a new team site along with a group and all the shared content that comes with the group I mentioned earlier. And you can start uploading everything that you want to see on this site immediately. For the point of this demo, I'm going to actually jump over to a site that I'm already a group of with content, so I don't have to show you guys the process of uploading. I could just immediately jump into some of the best practices I want to cover. So if we navigate back to the SharePoint home, you can see on my list of frequent sites, strategy and planning is the team site that I use the most. I'm going to dive into that. And for this team, working effectively is reliant on communication. Instead of having our team's content and notes, all of our conversations spread out across multiple different areas, the team's homepage is the single landing space for my team to share content and work together. This homepage can streamline all of your team's content into one place. For example, one of the things you get as a group is the planner that I mentioned. You can centralize your task management right on the homepage within a few clicks just by editing this homepage. I can find the planner web part. And since this is a group, and we already have a planner that we set up with 3 different buckets of what we have to do, what's in progress, and what's already completed, we get it automatically provisioned here. But I would actually rather see a burn down chart of what's completed. So I can go into the web part settings, I can choose a chart, and you can see that I get a chart where I can tell who is late on tasks, who's in progress, who hasn't even started them. If I go back up to the top, I can publish this site. And now anyone who's a part of this group or following this site will see this planner immediately when they land on the home page. So while this homepage is great for a quick, comprehensive understanding of what the group and the team's doing, sometimes more detail is required. And that's where SharePoint document libraries and lists can become necessary for your teams. We're going into the Strategy and Planning's team document library, and it's so much more than just a shared folder. You can really leverage the most value out of your document libraries in a few ways. You do not want your team searching through hundreds, maybe even thousands of documents to find something that they need immediately. This is where 2 features I want to highlight come into play. First is pinning, and second's metadata. For pinning, you can drive the focus to the documents that you deem most important to your team as the site owner. For example, the budget projection and the compliance strategies are the top 2 that my team's working on right now. So I can pin them to the top. And now everyone that comes to this document library sees these documents immediately. As projects change and priorities adjust, you can quickly unpin or edit what you're seeing in that top view. So you can select the pinned objects, and you can move it over to the left or the right, depending on what you want to see first. Or if the project's completely changed, you can simply unpin them all and start repinning the things that are more important to you now. The second thing I mentioned was metadata. Metadata helps your team manage all of their documents and find content quickly. You see in this document library, I have some metadata already configured, such as the department, the region, project type, and the audience that these documents are meant for. You can add new metadata by creating a column. For example, I'm going to create a person column, and this will be the owner of the document. So you see I have that column, and I want to be able to fill out as much information as I can. So I can go into this quick edit mode, and I can start typing the names in of owners. You see I already have a few in there from previously having this column there, but I could add more. Can hit done, and they're updated. This metadata being configured lets your team slice and dice their content in multiple dimensions via the filters pane. You can open the filters pane in the top right, and I want to find all of the documents that are in the Patagonia region and are specs. You can see that I've now narrowed it down to just a few files that are really important to me. And instead of having my team go through this process every time they want to find these, I can save this as a view. And I'm going to make this a public view so that all of my team members can see this and quickly navigate to the filters that I've set. Filling out this metadata is really helpful for your team to be able to manage their content. And as a site owner, you might determine that some of these metadata fields are more critical than others. So if we move back to the All Documents view, you can determine which metadata is required. So we just created this owner column. You can go in and edit the column, go to more options, and you see this one down here where it says require that this column contains information. If we apply that, you see that whenever there is not that piece of information filled out for this metadata, it appears highlighted. Anyone on your team can click on this highlighted box, get taken to the details pane, confirm that it is indeed missing the required information, and see immediately, oh yes, it is the owner that's missing. This actually belongs to me. Let me fill it out. You can hit save. And the highlighting goes away. Another way to use this feature is you might have noticed up here, there's a red dot on the view management. When you have missing required metadata, we give you a view called Files That Need Attention. When you click on that view, it takes you to an all-up look at everything in that document library that's missing the required information. You can see down here we have documents that are missing 3 fields. Any user can now go through, click on that highlighted box, see the 3 fields that are missing, and update them right here. So you can go through and say, for this, the project type is sustainability, the audience is internal only, and you can see that the fields are dropping down as I'm clicking through. The last one is the owner, it's my coworker Jeremy, add him, and the field is now resolved. So as a site owner, it's really worth the investment to think through what metadata will be the most useful for your team to find their content. It's worth that taking that extra time to be proactive and determine the metadata that you want so that you can get the great filtering experience, the missing metadata views, and all the different view managements that we walked through. So I just walked through the best practices for using metadata, but you'll notice in my All Documents view, I have folders. So metadata is great for managing content, using the filters pane, everything we just walked through, but folders are still useful, specifically for the sync granularity that you can get with them. So if you click sync, you can open my OneDrive, and you see that I have general folder and the office move folder syncing to my computer right now. But you know, I already moved offices. I don't need these documents, so I can stop syncing that folder. But what I do want is to be able to have access to the benefits of this team. So I can highlight that folder, I can start the sync, and my OneDrive will automatically get these folders. So I can only have the content that I want based on the specific folder that I'm choosing. So as a site owner, your priority is making sure that your team is successful. I'll now demo how you can not only track the usage at your site, but a way to really drive engagement to your site. If we navigate to the site contents, we can go to the site usage. And the site usage really provides you, as the owner, a way to see how your site is being used. For example, you may only expect 10 people to use your site, and you may only expect 2 or 3 documents to be the top trending content. So you can see in this view, you can track how many unique viewers are coming to your site over the last 3 months. You can see what's trending. These are the documents that your team is using the most. And then you can also jump over, and if your team allows content to be shared externally, you can see what exactly is being shared externally and when. So you see here I have budget projection internal release. That sounds like it's probably supposed to not be shared with a customer yet. I should follow up and make sure that either the title's wrong or that we need to pull it back. So it's really helpful to see how people are using your site. You can also navigate to this tab where it shows you the total site visits. It's not based on unique users, but it's how many times they're coming to the site. So this page lets you check that your goal is being achieved. The reason why you created this site can be tracked here. To really make the most of your SharePoint site, it's helpful to think of your site as the home base. This is the place where your team goes to find their content. But to really drive engagement, you want to take advantage of ways that the content can find your team, ways that SharePoint can bring that content to your team on platforms that they use every day, such as mobile, Outlook, Teams, and Yammer. One of the best ways to take this proactive interaction with SharePoint is through news. You can see that I have a Team News tab in my left navigation. Instead of sending out your team's updates on email, use news. I'm going to go through the process of, you can see here that my team's actually created quite a bit of news that's happened over the last few weeks. But I'm going to go through and create news. So we came in under budget in Q3. I can quickly add a picture. And write a little bit of text. And then I can publish this. So this makes a durable asset for all the updates that you want to have. You can easily search through, as news gets populated, you can go here and search through all the different news that are created by your team. And it's proactive. As soon as this news was created, you see it's populated to the top. It'll appear in the news web part as one of the first things you see. It also sends a notification to everyone that's in my group or following my team's site. For example, you get a notification on your mobile app on your phone, and you can easily read through the post that I just made. So it lets the content go towards your user so they can see what they need to see as quickly as possible. So I'd like to spend the remainder of this session talking about access management. And we discussed for a little bit in the beginning when we were talking about making the site private versus public and how IT can control those demands. If we go over here to the settings, we can look up the site information and see that this one that I'm demoing in is a public site that has a general purpose. If you wanted to ever change it, you could do it directly from here. If we look at the site permissions, you see that I can see the site owners, the site members, if I've ever had a site visitor, and I can also invite people. And there's two ways that you can invite people. The first one is by adding a member to the group. This adds them to the entire site and also gives them the shared Outlook, the shared calendar, creates them in the planner web part that I showed. It gives them context as to what this team is about. But sometimes that's not what you need. You just want someone to quickly look at what you're doing, and that's where sharing the site only can be important. So one of the factors that you should think about when you want to think how you want to set up the access management is how do you want your team to share things. For example, if we go back to the document library and we look at this file, how do you want your team to share this file with someone else? You can, one, add them to the group and give them context, but if you don't want to change the group, you could use this share button here. And there's a couple of things that I want to point out with this share dialog. If you drop down this menu, you see we have a lot of options. The first one says anyone. This is external. You see that it's grayed out. This is because my IT department determined that I should not be allowed to share this content with anyone. I have people in Contoso, that's within my organization, highlighted. This is the most basic option where you can share it with anyone in your organization and they don't need to jump through any hurdles to see the content. You can get as detailed as you want by dropping down to specific people. This is for only the eyes of the people that you specify. For example, they cannot forward that link to anyone else to view the content. When you're sharing via people in Contoso, you're giving that recipient more trust and flexibility where they can continue to reshare that content. You can control all the way down to who has editing permission and who doesn't, because maybe different times you want people to be able to add their input to your content. So a lot of the stuff that I've shown today is really focused on this notion of a group. But you guys probably have a lot of sites out there that are not connected to a group. And the good news is that you can add any Office 365 group to a site. And this will bring all of your sites into the world that I just walked through in this demo. There's a session held tomorrow led by a man named Tejas, my coworker, who walks through this process of groupifying your site so that you can experience everything that I demoed. So the goal of SharePoint is really to give the teams the ability to collaborate and share info. We want IT to have the control over the permissions, and we want everyone to be able to easily and quickly create a site, whether it's a team site or a communication site, that IT feels comfortable with. So we're constantly updating SharePoint to meet the needs of enterprises. So please keep your eyes open in the fall for when some of the features that I demoed will be released. And if you find these best practices interesting, which I hope you do, please find me on the exhibit floor and chat with me and my team about how we can get you started. I'll be there all day and tomorrow and Friday. Thank you so much.